Okay, so I'm gonna be reviewing Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, which came out a year after Hellraiser, which is 1988. It's directed by Tony Randall, but I believe Clive Barker helped write this one. Um, like I said in the other video, this is my favorite movie in the entire franchise. Um, a few years ago, um, I marathon the whole Hellraiser franchise because I'd never seen the sequels before, and they were on Netflix, and I was like, I was just in the mood to watch a bunch of horror franchises, have, which I have, and so I finally got around to watching this because I liked the first Hellraiser, but I was just like, I don't know if the sequels would be any good because I've always heard that the sequels were awful. And then I went, okay, I'll just give it a shot. I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen the Children of the Corn movies. I've seen almost 20 plus Amityville movies. I'm like, what is this gonna do? And damn, this movie is amazing. And like now I figured out like it's considered one of the best in the franchise actually. But anyways, the plot of this one picks up directly after the first movie, where Kirsty is sent to a hospital, which you find out is a mental hospital, ran by this doctor named Dr. Chenard. And Dr. Chenard is kind of this psychopathic yet genius. He's more focused on his work. Like he wants to know how the mind works, and he has an interest in the Cenobites and the Lament configuration and the Labyrinth, which is their hell in this universe. And he will do anything, kill anyone, just to figure out the secret. He's not like your typical villain. He's more focused on like how how this universe works and like that. He doesn't really care about. That's all he cares about is like basically his work. But he resurrects Julia from the first movie, because Julia died in the first movie, and which I'll get to that scene how he resurrects her. But basically, Kirsty is kind of coaxed back into. Let me get back to it. She's kind of coaxed back into finding Uncle Frank, or fighting Uncle Frank and Pinhead, because Dr. Chenard has this teenage girl named Tiffany who's a mute, but she's really good at solving puzzles. I don't know if she's supposed to be like autistic or something, but that's like her thing. She loves puzzles and she can solve them. She's like really good at solving puzzles. So Chenard like gives Tiffany the Lament configuration, and she opens the puzzle box. And then, but when the Cenobites come out, they know that it wasn't Tiffany that called them, it was Dr. Chenard. So basically, Kirsty gets sucked back in because she sees a message from her father, which was actually Uncle Frank in the skies. And he writes on the wall, "Help me, I am in hell," which is like a very iconic image from this movie. And it's right there, that one right there. And so she gets coaxed back in to help, basically just to help Tiffany and defeat Uncle Frank and Julia and Dr. Chenard. I love the world building in this movie. When I saw the first Hellraiser, that's what I was expecting, was more of like this kind of movie. And I think that's why I was let down, because I had higher hopes. I was expecting, like they was actually going to go to hell and do all kinds of crazy stuff, and that didn't happen. It was just like a monster movie set in a house. But this one, the title doesn't lie. They actually go to hell. Which like, I know Jason Takes Manhattan does eventually go to Manhattan, but when you read the title, you think, oh, it's gonna take place in all of Manhattan, but it doesn't, and it's a different movie. But this movie, no, most of it takes place in hell, and it's amazing. And I don't know why, but when I watched it, this movie just sucked me in, and I had a lot of fun watching it. Um, some of the scenes I like. There's like the scene where Dr. Chenard resurrects Julia, and he gets the mattress from where she died on from the first movie, and he brings in this mental patient, which I believe he's schizophrenic. He believes he has bugs on him, and Chenard gets this guy and gives him a straight razor and lays him on the mattress, and the guy's like cutting himself up, and the blood seeps through the mattress and resurrects Julia, and Julia comes out, and it's like this really nasty, gory, gross scene where she kills the guy and she like consumes him, and then she comes back and like skinless like Frank did, and it's just like, oh my god. And there's an orderly helping out Kirsty in the movie, and he breaks into Chenard's office to see what he's up to, but like when Chenard comes in with the guy, he hides somewhere, but he's witnessing the whole thing, and I felt like that guy in that moment. I was like, damn, that's crazy and just disgusting. um then I love the look of the labyrinth, which is their hell, and I don't know. I always wish like Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios would like base a house off of this movie, because it's like the labyrinth's like very gothic looking. It's like these long corridors, long dark corridors that are dimly lit. It's like basically looks like a castle, and there's like cobwebs and fog and wind, and there's like these different rooms you can go into. Like one was like a carnival, and one was like Kirsty's own personal hell, and a hallway of mirrors, and it was just interesting. Like the hells you go into, the rooms I guess are like your own personal hell. But yeah, then I like the scene where Dr. Chenard, gets turned into a Cenobite, and I love how he looks. I wish I could get a figure of him. But he has like this long tentacle thing, like, in his head. He kind of looks like Pinhead, but it's just like razor wire around his face, and he has this big long tentacle tube thing stuck in his head, and it like moves around. And there's a scene where like Kirsty and Tiffany are like in this hospital room, and there's like a bunch of patients in there, and Dr. Chenard bursts through the window in there, and I forgot what Tiffany said. She said something like, "Oh my god," or something like that. And then, I forgot what it was, but like, he says something, and he starts shooting these barbs out of his hand, and like, killing all the patients in the room, and stuff. I'm like, golly. Kirsty and Frank have a confrontation, which was pretty good. Uncle Frank's known for like saying some nasty dialogue, especially in the first movie, and he does the same thing here. Now like the ending of the movie, I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings on, because at the end, Kirsty and Tiffany get. Oh, I guess I should talk about the scene with Julia. Well, Kirsty and Frank got into this confrontation, and then she ends up defeating him. I think she pushes him into a fire or a furnace or something. But they're trying to escape, and Julia comes through, and then like for some reason like this little tunnel they're going through, because there's like this big old chase scene in the labyrinth where the Leviathan is, where that's like the god, or I guess like the devil of their hell. And there's like a big old chase scene, and like they get pushed off this one of the little walkways, and they're hanging off, and then all that. But they go down and do this like little corridor, and like the wind's like sucking like really hard and stuff. And Julia, because I think she had like, like when they come back, they don't have skin. I think like she replaces her skin at some point. I don't really remember. But they're going through the hallway, and Julia gets caught, and then I think Kirsty's like trying to grab her or something, and her skin comes off, and it like and she flies off, and I was like, oh my god, that scene made me laugh, but it was like pretty gruesome, like her skin just comes off, like, oh my god. But to get back to the ending, so the ending I'm kind of conflicted on, because at the end, Kirsty and Tiffany run into a room, and they meet up with the Pinhead and the Cenobites, and they're, because when people change in the Cenobites, they kind of lose all their emotions and stuff, and they just become focused on getting these people who open the puzzle box to hell. That's their only purpose. And so Kirsty and Tiffany try to convince or play with their emotions to get them to have a little bit more empathy, and try to turn on Dr. Chenard, which doesn't work. Dr. Chenard kills them all, and they revert back to human form. It kind of reminds me of Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason takes Manhattan with the toxic waste, gets thrown on him, and he reverts back to a human child. But anyways, it wasn't that dumb. It's not dumb like in that one, but so they revert back to human form. And I was like, I didn't really understand that, but I'm like, okay, it needed to end somehow. But like when they turn back, Chatterer, you find out that Chatterer is actually a little boy. So I'm like, I wonder what the hell he did, a kid did to open the puzzle box, or what he desired to open the puzzle box and get killed. I mean, get turned into a Cenobite. Yeah, I highly recommend this one. Like I said, this one's my favorite in the franchise. It's definitely one, it's not one to skip over. I like the first 3 movies in the franchise, and after that, I don't like them, or they're good, like they're decent, and then they go bad for me. But yeah, highly recommend this one. If you haven't seen it, don't skip over it. It's definitely a good companion piece to the first movie, which this is actually like the last movie in the franchise that actually feels like a direct sequel, because it has Julia, it has Frank, because Julia was actually supposed to be the main villain of the franchise after this one. But anyway, the last movie, well, not the last movie, but last movie with Kirsty as one of the main characters. But anyways, that's my review.